Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to go over Milsha or Mirusha or Milsha in her 5-star form, and we're going to do a little bit of gameplay, and I'll do a 5-star review. Now the most important question of all is
she hot or not?
Well, she's wearing a bikini, so yeah, she's hot. Anyways, this is our second global shade unit, and she does not disappoint as well. She has very high attack. She is a lance user. She has both shade and earth elements, and both of those moves are extremely powerful, which we'll show you a little bit later on. In terms of Valor Chant, awesome Valor Chant, power and speed for one turn to all party members. If you've seen some of our previous battles when we used to use a lot more VCs, speed plus 30 is very useful in getting more turns in during the AF, and also to outspeed bosses and enemies as well. And who doesn't want more power? Now you can see the 3 skills we're going with, although she can actually vary her kit quite well. So we'll first talk about Stifling Song. Now this one is, I guess, her version of it. I know Mystere and Melina have their own, and this one restores MP as well as powers up the whole party for 15% stackable for 3, so total of 30% if you want to do all 3 moves. It's not extremely good, but if you don't have any other units to power up your entire team, this is not a bad strategy to have this move. However, she also has a water type resist wall of all party members plus 50% and medium regen. So kind of like a healing effect. I would say it's a little bit less effective than Earth Wall, which for example Myrus has, AS Myrus, and I think Chio has that as well, because that one I believe has 15% physical resistance as well. This was only water type resistance, so not the most amazing. However, still very useful in having some sort of defense on your more offensively minded DPS units. And finally, I'm not even going to pronounce these moves, but you get what I mean. Preemptive Shade Type Pierce, single target DPS, large attack 3 times hits, and restore users HP. So if you're running low on HP, preemptive is always nice to have. Not every unit has a preemptive move, and so, you know, the ability to heal when she's low on HP and you don't have a healer is absolutely cool. However, I still think that Stifling Song works really well, especially when you're running a top team, and she plays very well as your main DPS on a team with other units either supporting her or putting buffs onto her or debuffs on the enemy. Now, in terms of her 2 signature powerful moves, we first will go over the Addis Triana. So this is the shade type AoE, and it stacks anywhere from 6 to 8 of these stacks on the user. If you're in Lunatic, obviously it does more damage, and it'll stack more, and also give her a barrier. So normally with Lunatic Shade users, once you use the Lunatic, all or most of the defense is converted into offense, and so she's left with very little defense and can die really easily. The fact that you have a barrier still mitigates some of that damage, so not as fragile as Stilla Lily, but obviously doesn't do the same type of damage as Stilla Lily either. That being said, this works really well with her other move, which is the Earth-based move, and we'll go over that shortly. But mainly, this is your kind of like your finishing move, so to speak. So, this Thalassa Yaphalos is basically an Earth-type single target, and this is the one that stacks 3 times. Not only stacks that increase the Earth and Shade-type attacks of all party members, so essentially 3 stacks up to 50%, and these steady orbs on the user. And so basically you're going to do 3 stacks of this, and when time is right, you're going to use that middle Addis Triana move. And the most important thing you would need to know about her, and what makes her extremely powerful, is that once you use a move, and you use the Addis Triana, that Delphini stack, at the end of every turn, it will do another AoE similar to the Addis Triana, which does similar damage to the last move done that turn, or it's in memory. And so you can get extremely powerful end of turn hits, which can finish off HP stoppers as well. So those are her 5-star boards. We're just going to go through it. Keep in mind, she is a Western personality, so she can equip West type Grasta. Now, this is the grass that I went with. However, if you watch later in the video, I actually do play around with the grass stuff for different setups depending on what we're using. Note that she doesn't have any shade grass yet, so we're just going to use the type attacks. And note that we have the enemy numbers attack. So, being that she's really good against killing with her AoE, we want to enhance that damage when she's fighting more enemies. So let's take her out for a spin. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So, first of all, being that she does have earth attacks, you can see her single target does a tremendous amount of damage. And then, depending on how many stacks you want to do, you can either follow up with the Addis Triana, or you can continue with those earth stacks against enemies weak to earth while powering her up as well. It's really hard to demonstrate these against single mobs because one hit usually kills these enemies. She does have a high innate power, and she does a lot of damage. So let's try the Addis Triana, and you can see that against weaker enemies, absolutely no problem. Now, most of her moves are pretty mana intensive, and so the earth move doing 60 MP and the other one doing 45 MP is quite a lot. Okay, so first of all, we're going to stack a couple of stacks of the earth one in order to build those steady stacks, and you can see there's already 2 there. And note that those steady stacks increase the power of both moves, and you can stack a max of 3 stacks. So just like that, one hit, 375k. Also, keep in mind the end of turn hit is a guaranteed critical. So that allows you to do insane amounts of damage, especially if you buff critical damage. And so let's show you how I handled the Milsha now. And I realized I don't have the most powerful team. There's actually more powerful teams out there. However, this is after some experimentation to kind of show you at least the potential for Milsha, especially if you do have other really powerful Pierce type units. I will also say that a lot of these powerful strategies do rely on Milsha as well, and I think Milsha works really well with her Flash Strike Zone to really help set up a lot of powerful attacks for your most powerful units. So although this reveal is not about her, I will have a link to Milsha's 5-star review below in the description if you want to take a look at that as well. Okay, so for my strategy, I'm going to bring the Aldo version down to a minute amount of life and just kind of have a half bar eventually build up. Keep in mind that the end of turn attack from Milsha does power the bar, especially if you do have Pierce or Flash Strike Zone active. It will give you an additional bar hit. And note that even at the end of turn, remember, we haven't activated Lunatic yet, and she's already hitting for 1.4 million, which is a lot more than we can say for many of our other units out there. So we're just going to use AS4 to give 4 crit stacks to everybody. And we're concentrating our attacks, of course, on Theolilidi, being that she is kind of shielded by Pride. Okay, so now that you have more than a half bar AF, we're just going to unleash massive amounts, activating Lunatic as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to stack 3 stacks of the Earth Steady orbs. And eventually, at the very end of the AF, before it's over, we're going to unleash that Addis Triana. And I'll show you how much that does hit. And then you can also see how much the end of turn after that hits as well. You can see she is actually, one hit is already 15 million. Like, we're talking some significant amounts of damage. Keep in mind that as long as you leave the orbs on her, she is going to keep those, and it enhances both moves like I said earlier. Once you use that move, it does consume it, and so you'll have to build those stacks again. But look, at the end of turn, it's already 6 million AoE. I mean, that's more than most people's hits. And we're going to just use that Earth single target, because remember, at this stage in the game, all you have to do is defeat Melina, and look at that. With the, all those debuffs on there, and keep in mind, we do have a lot of synergy with Claude OG applying Pierce Resistance down. We have Exquisite Blossom from AS to Z applying Physical Resistance down, and just like that, one single hit, 3 additional million, and that's it. And like I said, keep this in mind, this is not even the most optimized team. So, as usual, I'm going to show my loadout here. Obviously, Claude is more of a support unit, and like I said earlier, those enemy numbers attack increase damage when she is facing more enemies. And so at the end stage, you have 3 enemies, and so obviously more. And we enhanced a lot of those pain grasses to occasionally inflict pain on the enemy. So remember that there is a little bit of RNG involved in that as well, being that you don't have a guaranteed pain setter. I'm not using Jade in this case. However, he is carrying the enhanced damage when HP max, which is still shared among all the Lance users, being that he's in the back and we've enhanced that Grasta. Now, we can actually tailor our Grasta as well to fight single target enemies. In this case, a single boss, no other minions. And so obviously those enemy numbers things don't really work very well. And what we're going to do is instead of just kind of holding back our bar and kind of leaving it, we're going to push this boss, the Unseen, to its HP stopper. And what strategy here is, it was very similar to my strategy when I used, when I fought it with Milsha the very first time, except that you have this end of turn super kill, which can be also, mind you, be done by someone like Yukino as well. And so the strategy is to, we're going to build up all the stacks, we're going to unleash that super Addis Triana attack right there, and then we're going to have that Ruin Genocide. And so we have that break. Remember, the end of turn will now occur, and it's dealing double damage because of the shield break status. And so we did over 20 million after the HP stopper, which is very, very useful, mind you. So, a very similar team. In this case, because we don't have Pure Zone, we use Jade up front to use his boosting 50% lance damage to everybody. And he obviously is a guaranteed pain setter, so we don't have to have enhanced pain Grasta. Look what we're enhancing instead. Type attack, increased damage when HP max, because we're not taking any hits. And of course, Milsha has the same Grasta as before. We had actually moved around Suzette's AS's Grasta. And of course, Foreign still has a decent amount of Grasta as well. So in conclusion, Milsha is a very powerful top-line DPS. She can actually boost the damage of your entire Earth team and Shade team when Shade teams become a thing. I didn't even demonstrate her in Earth, but she can definitely give a lot of support that way. And like I said, that end of turn Shade attack is extremely useful and extremely powerful as well. You can team it up with people like Milsha or even other type of team in order to do insane amounts of damage, like I said, at the end of each turn for as many stacks of the Delphini as you want. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.